Guys, I have some insane news to drop. Charles Oliveira is out of the UFC 294 main event versus Islam Makhachev. Who takes the fight on short notice? The most badass man on the planet. The Australian savage himself, Alexander Volkanovski, 10 days notice to fight against Islam Makhachev, who he had a 5-round war with. This is absolutely insane, the fact that these two are throwing down again. And it's obviously the matchup that a lot of fans really wanted. Me specifically, I was all for the immediate rematch with Volkanovski versus Makhachev. Now we get the fight, but it's a non-optimal circumstance because Volk is jumping in on damn short notice. He was scheduled to fight at UFC 297. That's January. He was supposed to be fighting Ilia Topuria. Now he takes on Makhachev in 10 days. Next weekend, not this weekend coming, next weekend, we got Volkanovski, Makhachev, the rematch. Yes, it's for the lightweight belt. It's on the line. And this is absolute madness. I'm sitting here and just kind of deeply thinking about the matchup and trying to analyze how it might play out with Volkanovski having a suboptimal camp. We'll get into that in a second, but I also have a slight bit of tea to drop, a little bit something Dana White said about Paulo Costa that's going to be concerning. His elbow surgery that he had was only a few weeks ago, and Dana said we're going to find out in a few hours if he's actually taking the fight or not, and I don't know. By Dana's tone, I have a weird feeling that there might be somebody else jumping in on short notice, and we might not be getting Costa versus Chimaev. We're going to talk about all of this. I'm going to go in depth a little bit more about the Oliveira situation, obviously about the Makhachev versus Volkanovski fight, and then towards the end, we'll talk a little bit about Paulo Costa and maybe who's going to jump in and fight Khamzat. So make sure you guys smash that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Let's start this thing off first just talking about Charles Oliveira. What happened? Why is he out of the fight? Well, we don't need to speculate anymore. Dana White said he was in sparring last night. In the 5th round of the sparring session, he gets a bad gash over his eye that required stitches. They did stitches and then called the UFC. Problem with that, from what Dana claims, is that if Charles Oliveira would have went to the UFC first, they would have got him a different type of stitch. A stitch that goes on the inside of the eye and closes it up better, that maybe, lessens the chance of it reopening, or, I guess less quickly, because it would probably reopen if he's fighting in 10 days. Literally, he's supposed to fly out tomorrow. He's supposed to be going to Abu Dhabi tomorrow, cuts his eye last night, fight is off because he's not going to be able to do it with the stitches in his eye. He's not going to get medically cleared. He's not flying out to Abu Dhabi, and this is absolute madness right now. So who does the UFC call? The baddest man on the planet, Alexander Volkanovski. He takes the fight on 10 days' notice against a man that beat him and gave him the toughest fight of his UFC career. And the same can be said with Makhachev. That's the toughest fight of his UFC career. I guess if you want to count Adriano Martins knocking him out with one big punch is a tough fight, not like, kind of a freak knockout. But you get what I mean. Volkanovski and Makhachev are rivals, bitter rivals now. And to take the fight on a suboptimal situation like this, up a weight class against a 155-pound champ, Volkanovski has got balls of steel. There's nobody as savage as Alexander Volkanovski in the game. I don't think many fighters in the world that are world champions, especially in the weight class below, will accept a fight on 10 days' notice against not only the champion up there, a guy that you fought before and it was a hellish back and forth, and now there's always been talks of a rematch. The issue is the timeline wasn't optimal. So I'm kind of looking at it like this. In Volkanovski's mind, there could potentially be mishaps that lead to this rematch never happening again. He fights Topuria. Let's say he beats Topuria, and let's say Makhachev would have beaten Oliveira. What happens if somebody got injured, then they're out to the end of the year and more? We have no idea. Volkanovski could then have to defend the belt again, or Makhachev on his side defending again. Somebody could lose. There could be so many things to go sideways that could affect this fight actually happening. Well, now we don't have to worry about that. We get to see these two savages face off once again. They're getting back in the cage against one another, and honestly, I cannot wait to see it happen once again, even on 10 days' notice. If there's anybody in the world that can give Islam Makhachev another run for his money, and now especially on 10 days' notice, Volkanovski. He's the dude. Listen, I respect the hell out of Volkanovski for taking it. And I mean, when was his last fight? Let me bring this up here. Let's bring up Volkanovski and see when was the last fight. I believe it wasn't long. It was a couple months ago. I know it was against Yair Rodriguez, but I got to get the exact date. When did this fight take place? Let's see here. Let's look at this. I got the stat right in front of me. He fought last July 8th. Now we're in October, so not long ago at all. 3 months, I guess 3 months and 2 weeks, he's jumping back in there. Islam Makhachev hasn't fought since the Volkanovski win, which was all the way back in February. Scheduled to fight against Charlie O. He was ready to go at it this weekend. Now Volkanovski jumps in on short notice. And it's one of those weird situations where, like, I'm thinking about the pick for the fight and something is just whispering to me, Volkanovski can shock the world here. And many people will probably say, dude, you're crazy. Volk is not going to beat him on a full camp. Now he's going to beat him on less than a camp. Okay, but let's look at it like this. Look how the last fight was finishing. Volkanovski is on top, pounding on him. Bah, bah, big strikes landing. So Volkanovski has the momentum heading into this fight. Okay, suboptimal camp. Yeah, but last time he hadn't already fought him before. And do you think that Alexander Volkanovski is a guy that isn't in shape all year? Do you really believe that? Does anybody believe that? I don't. I think Alexander Volkanovski is 100% ready. There's a chance that he was planning to be the backup for this, and if potentially Oliveira was going to slide out, he was planning to jump in. I don't believe him saying yes right away as him coming off the couch drinking beers in Australia and then scrapping with Makhachev. I think that he was staying ready. And I think that he's going to be ready when they face off once again. I'm expecting another crazy back and forth war, but the way that last fight finished with Volkanovski beating on him from top, it's like he took a little piece of Islam Makhachev's soul and Volk owns him a bit. You say, oh, but Makhachev won the decision. At the end of the day, when it came down to it, how the fight finished, the guy winning at the end of the fight is Volkanovski. He's beaten up Makhachev from top, who's supposed to be, an immovable object, a force that can't be broken. And he's getting pounded on. Islam Makhachev, too, you got to think, holy shit, the guy who gave me the toughest fight of my UFC run, the toughest fight of my life, and now I'm rematching him? Sure, 10 days notice. Oh, well, maybe it's a lesser Volkanovski, but probably not. You got to prepare for the best. He's getting ready for Charles Oliveira style, who's different. Charles Oliveira doesn't have that same type of pressure. He doesn't have that same type of pace. Charles Oliveira, let's be real here, he does wilt when things go against him in fights. I don't care how much of a fan I am of Charlie O. The truth is, in certain matchups against hyper-elite competition, we've seen him break. And he lost last time by Makhachev. He got strangled by an arm triangle. And you look at Volkanovski, the fact that there is no quit in him, and then you look at him beating the shit out of Yair Rodriguez and looking better than before. He looked amazing against Yair. His striking looks more crisp than ever. Was he not working on things that he learned from Makhachev, touching him a bit in the striking department? Is he not going to be able to put that pressure on Makhachev this time and land those big shots, stop those big takedowns, get some takedowns of his own? I think that Alexander Volkanovski has dared to be great, which will turn out to be the best decision of his fighting career, because I believe he's going to dethrone Islam Makhachev, and I think Volkanovski next Saturday is becoming the champion of the world on short notice. I have this feeling inside of me. You look at the first fight and how back and forth it was and how it finished. I think Volk has him. I think Volk's got him here. You got to think Makhachev's freaking out. Damn, now I'm fighting Volkanovski. Okay, different matchup. Hardest fight of my life, 10 days notice. Well, I'm preparing for a different style. He's not preparing for that short, pressure-heavy, stocky frame. He's preparing for the long Oliveira, who will bring pressure with shots, but not to the level of Volk. He doesn't have the gas of Volk, doesn't have the wrestling of Volk, doesn't have the strength of Volk. There's a level difference. Volkanovski's a world champion. This is a champion versus champion fight. You could say Charles Oliveira, the champion has a name, whatever the fans want to talk about. The truth of the matter is this is champ versus champ, and last time it was hell on earth for Islam Makhachev, and obviously it was hell on earth for Volk too, and it went long and it was a war. Volk fought since then. He sharpened those tools and he looked incredible. Makhachev's been waiting on the sidelines. and I think he's going to be in trouble. Guys, I'm picking Volkanovski by knockout. That's the early call. That's what I'm feeling here. I think he's going to end up hurting Islam Makhachev, and I think he's going to follow up with ferocious ground and pound and set the whole world on fire. Now, is there a chance it goes distance? He wins on the card? Sure. Could things maybe go the other way? I don't know. Inside of me, I'm feeling no, but it is the fight game, and anything is possible. I'm picking the side of Volkanovski to pull off the upset on short notice. Expect him as a big underdog. Plus 300? I'm thinking it might be 4-1 because of the short notice, and a ton of money is going to come down on Volk. So if you think about betting it, you probably want to jump on it soon, because I'm telling you, you're going to see the Volk line start wide, and then I think it's going to slowly shrink more and more as we get closer and closer to the fight, which I'll guarantee you guys is going to be an all-time classic. And it's a bitter rivalry that might now set up a trilogy. Volkanovski might not be fighting Topuria after this one. He might be fighting Makhachev again, which would be even crazier. The third fight between these two savages. I think it's one of the greatest rivalries in UFC history, and I just feel it's written in the stars that on short notice, Volkanovski's going to pull it off. I'm picking him to win. It's unfortunate for Charles Oliveira, but how great does this work out for Volkanovski at the end if he's getting the W? I think it works out better than he could have ever imagined in his entire life. Now, quickly, before we finish up, I want to talk about Paulo Costa pulling out, because there are some whispers that Paulo Costa is not going to make this fight. I know he's injured, and he's posting he's injured online. I don't like that at all. I'm worried that he's not going to be able to fight. And if you're not able to fight, now I'm looking at the UFC rankings, and I'm like, who's sick enough to jump in on real short notice? Is it going to end up being Jared Cannonier? Because I feel like Cannonier's got that courage. Now, could you imagine, though, it was Rob Whittaker who jumps in on crazy short notice? I'm thinking it's Cannonier or Whittaker. Now, this is not 100% that Costa's pulling out, but it's just some whispers that he might be. Dana White, the tone, the way he alluded to the situation, that, oh, if Abu Dhabi then drops the word on it, like, or it gets dropped the word before Abu Dhabi knows because someone's trying to be a big mouth and act like they know something. It's like, wait, are you telling us that the fight is off and you don't want it to come out yet? Because that's how I read it. Because if it was on, you wouldn't really have to say too much about it. It wouldn't be a huge deal if Abu Dhabi knows. I'm telling you, I think the fight's off. And I think Cannonier is probably the guy that steps in, but maybe Rob Whittaker's crazy and jumps in there. Now, could you imagine a world where Israel Adesanya somehow jumped in? Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think that's like a 0.001% chance. But hey, there's some universe where it's possible. Maybe it's ours. And to be honest, I don't think that's optimal for Izzy by any means, which is why I'm going to say it probably doesn't happen. But Cannonier or Whittaker, I think they'd take it for sure. I really do. Now, I mean, if you look at UFC 295, how it's shaping up, let me bring it up here, and we'll look at 295. Let's see. 295. What am I saying? 294. Excuse me. Thinking of John Jones already. That's not that far out. That's like a month out. Makhachev, Volkanovski. It's already on Tapology. I'll bring it up. I'll bring the Tapology up so you guys can see. Look. Let me bring it up right here. All right. Hold on one second. Boom. Look at the Tapology. This is the card we got. We got Makhachev, Volk, and Kalaev, Walker, Nurmagomedov, Gafford. Okay, so we got some good stuff. I'm looking to see if anybody on the card could potentially jump in to fight Paulo. Or, excuse me, to fight for Paulo. I lean no. It's a damn good card, though. Holy shit. We got wars on. This is a good card. I like this card a lot. If Costa's out, I think Cannonier's in. Look, we already got Volkanovski, Makhachev at the top. Listen, it's going down. It's an 11 a.m. Eastern time start, Saturday, October 21st. It's UFC 294, and I think it's going to be epic. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely smash the like button for the news reactions. You guys got to hype me up with these news reactions so I keep them coming. So let me know if you loved them in the comments, if you liked it, whatever, or if you hated it. Let me know, too. I'm curious. If you got nothing to say in the comments, but you enjoy the content from me, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Turn the post notifications on and put them on all. If you just have them on personalized, put them on all, especially on this video, especially if you're new. You're not going to miss any of the news reactions because I got a ton of stuff dropping. Now that Contender Series is over, my schedule's really opened up. So I'm going to be missing the news reactions as much as I can. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe, like the video. Much love. Share the video. I appreciate you all watching. And what a crazy night. Contender Series finale and the live stream. We find out Oliveira's out. And now we got a new matchup that I just absolutely had to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Much love, my people. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.